it went viral because people were just like, who is this Chris guy putting these black soulful ad-libs on like, look what you made me do and bad blood and bad blood. Hey, it's like, whoa. So it caught because it was different.
Welcome to Culture Court, a podcast about the people and the ideas that drive our culture forward. I'm the host, CJ, and here is my promise to you. Every episode will be interesting, relevant to what's going on right now, and will last 20 minutes or less. Please like, subscribe, and send this to somebody that you think would enjoy this episode. Thank you for listening. Here we go. My guest today is a pop culture blogger and a TikTok creator who just went viral talking about Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. He's been featured in the LA Times, Boston Globe, and USA Today, and we're happy to have him with us here today. Welcome to my guest, Chris Sumlin. Chris, thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me. Super duper excited. And I also just noticed that you have an Eras Tour t-shirt on. I didn't realize that just now, so I'm super duper excited for us to get into it and chat.
That's right. That's exactly right. A little bit on brand, apparel wise here today. So it seems like there are very few Black Taylor Swift fans. However, one recent survey found that 13% of her fans are Black, which tracks almost perfectly with the U.S. population. So why do you think it seems like there aren't Black people that listen to Taylor Swift?
Sure. I'm not sure that people don't like her. I just think it's a very small amount of people that do. And I think the reason that is I feel like whenever you're consuming art, whether it be movies, sports, television, and particularly music, people are looking to see themselves or at least something that's aspirational that they can aspire to. So when I think about Oprah Winfrey, when she tells the story of the first time she ever felt like she saw herself on TV was seeing Diana Ross and the Supremes, I think that whenever people are consuming art, they're looking to see someone that looks like them. And me as a Black man or you, we don't look at like Taylor Swift's Love Story music video or the You Belong With Me video and think, oh, that's me. I see myself in that. So I think that that's why there may be a disinterest in Taylor Swift from the Black population, is because I don't think that oftentimes they look at themselves and think that's me off of their first impression. Because I do think that like the very surface level one Taylor Swift, you wouldn't. But when you lean into the music, when you lean into the lyrics, when you listen to the music, you will find that it's incredibly universal and relatable.
That's what I was going to say. The music, especially some of the most recent music, it feels like blues. It feels like R&B. It feels like the best of hip hop, even, where you're super lyrical, like a lot of instruments. And I think if you listen to it, you're easily drawn to it if you give it a chance.
If you give it a chance is the tendency.
Yeah, you got to give it a chance. So when did you first give her a chance? When did you first hear her music?
Sure. So I started doing pop culture commentary I started doing it really consistently in October. And that was around the time that the Midnights album had just come out. So with me doing my research, my intention is just to find what are the trending stories, what's in the culture, what are people talking about. So I remember very vividly watching Taylor Swift be on Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show talking about Midnights and this new album that she had just created. And I had never knew of Taylor Swift on an intimate level. I knew 22, I knew Blank Space, I knew Love Story. But when I watched her interview with Jimmy Fallon, I'm like, okay, well, let me try to tune into this. This is someone who has 12 midnights and I'm making a song for all these nights I couldn't sleep. I was like, let me lean in. So when I started listening to Antihero, Maroon, Snow on the Beach, I was like, I'm going to give Taylor a try. So then when I started talking about that on TikTok, her fans were like, well, check out Enchanted, check out Delicate, check out Clean. And I found myself going down this rabbit hole of this 15-year career and enjoying it. And so I would say around Midnights is when I really got into Taylor Swift.
Yo, so I didn't realize that. So I thought you had been a fan for a few years before the tour.
No, I really got into Taylor Swift with Midnights. And I remember going to Target, buying the physical CD, buying the vinyl as well, buying a record player so I could listen to the vinyl and the CD. Midnights was the beginning or genesis of my Taylor Swift journey. Crazy.
That's wild. So I got into it, I guess about 10 years ago, or a little bit less than that. I was in law school and we were talking actually about Ryan Adams covering the 1989 album. and I was in a copyright class, and the professor was like, "Hey, like we're going to discuss this like living, breathing like copyright case right now with 89 being Taylor's album first, and then him covering it, and her being totally cool with the cover." And he just kind of mentioned, "Hey, you all should read these cases about it, but also go listen to both albums because they're both incredible." And I had knew who she was, obviously, just kind of being aware of her, but I never had sat down and listened to a full album until then. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty tight. And so then Reputation came around a few years later, and Reputation was so cool to me. My wife and I actually went to the tour in Dallas, and man, it just was awesome. And so from then on, I've been really locked in, and I would consider myself to be an avid fan for sure. So a question for you. Have you listened to all the albums to this point, or no?
Kind of. I will say that I'm well versed in a lot of them. I say that I need to listen to Evermore a little more, Folklore a little more, and then Debut. But I could have conversations about all the rest of them. If you ask me about Reputation, I could talk about Dress. I could talk about Look What You Made Me Do. If you ask me about 1989, I know Wildest Dreams. I know Welcome to New York. I would say that I'm pretty well versed in all of them and can talk about all the eras, but I don't know Folklore, Evermore, and Debut.
Yeah. So I didn't like Folklore, Evermore at all, really. Well, they're good, right? But they didn't appeal to me. But I recently went back from the beginning and went to all the songs, all the albums in order, and it was really, really fun to do. So do you have a favorite album or favorite era so far?
It depends, because musically I really like 1989, but I feel like personally I didn't really like that Taylor Swift in that moment. I would say that I really appreciate and like Lover, but that isn't like there's songs on there I would skip as well because I really don't like Me, but I really love Cruel Summer. So I would say, like, if someone was like, what's your favorite Taylor album? I would probably have to say Midnights, because that's the one that really got me into Taylor as well. And then I also really enjoy Speak Now. But let me also say this. When you were talking about how you went to Reputation and you said that album was really cool, I will say that as a Black person who listens to R&B and hip hop, if you were not a Taylor Swift fan and you listen to Reputation, that would be the album that I would say as a Black person to other Black people, you should check it out. For example, I don't know that people know that Taylor Swift actually has a song with Future, and like her and Ed Sheeran are rapping on Endgame. That's really great. When I listen to Don't Blame Me and I hear those hums, I'm like, oh, okay, where are we going with this? Like, are we really, Lord, don't blame me, my job? Like, that's Black. You know what I'm saying? That's soulful.
Right.
So, I don't really have a favorite Taylor Swift album per se, but if I was trying to convince a Black person who listens to R&B, gospel, and hip hop to be a Taylor Swift fan, Reputation would be the one I would go to.
Yo, to that point, the only album that I've heard like white Taylor Swift fans say they don't like is Reputation. That's the only one.
She took a risk on that one. Yes, that one is a risk and is one that is definitely deviates the most, but it's good. Like, I love Look What You Made Me Do. I love Ready For It. I love Endgame. I love Delicate, Dress. Man, like, those are good songs, but it definitely deviates away from You Are the Best Thing That's Ever Been Mine. Like, it's different. So, but it's still good.
Dude, if you listen to that on a summer day, you can't help but like knock your head and turn it up super, super loud in the car. So,
agreed.
Okay. Being that Midnights was your favorite, when did you decide to go to the Eras tour? Were you like, okay, I'm in this now, I just got to go see what this is about? Or did you just like spur of the moment decide to go to the tour?
Well, think about it. I'm someone who was being introduced to the Taylor Swift rabbit hole. So when she says, I'm going to do an Eras tour going through all of my different eras, me as a fan, I'm like, well, I need to go to that, because that's not like it's the Midnights tour. It's not the Lavender Haze tour. It's the Eras tour. So as I'm coming in new, well, maybe I'll get to hear Enchanted. Maybe I'll get to hear Love Story, Fearless, all of these songs. So I was like, I'm going to go. And I wanted to go as early as possible because I am in the culture. So same thing with Renaissance. Beyonce is one of my favorites. I'm trying to go to those like early because I know how the internet works. So I live in Los Angeles and like spend my time on the West Coast. And so when I saw that Las Vegas was like the third show, that was my goal. So I bought my ticket. I had a VIP ticket. got on the bus because the flights were literally sold out. Couldn't even fly into Las Vegas. Had to get on the bus. And I got on my bus and I went to the Eras Tour, my VIP section, and had an amazing time. Got a t-shirt. And let me say this, when I walked in and got in my VIP section, I was the only black male around. One of the few men there. It's a lot of very single girlfriends, single white women that are just having a good time. So when I walk in, not only without a girlfriend, by myself, but with the t-shirt on to let you know I'm in this, and then I'm singing Enchanted to the top of my lungs, they were looking at me like, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, who's this guy? And so when I went live on TikTok and I'm just being my authentic self, singing these songs, enjoying myself, it went viral because people were just like, who is this Chris guy putting these black soulful ad-libs on, like, Look What You Made Me Do and Bad Blood. Hey, it's like, whoa. So it caught because it was different. So yeah.
Dude, okay. So I got a lot there. You got on a bus from LA to Las Vegas?
Yes, and I've done that before. It's not that long at all, but sometimes you'll get caught. Like, we left at like 12, so around 3 o'clock, we did get locked into some after work traffic. But oh yeah, that LA to Vegas road trip bus, that's easy. I do it again. It's really fun.
Okay, so when you got off the bus, you get there, you get into the merch line. How long was the merch line? Because, you know, people on TikTok were like, oh, it's going to be 2 hours. You're getting there at noon. They're sitting in line overnight. What was your merch line like? Because mine was different than that.
Yes. And so, like, coming off of the Glendale opening shows and just hearing horror stories about not being able to get an Uber, having to spend the night and like on the side of the street, like, it gave me a lot of anxiety. Where when I went to Las Vegas, I think I got off the bus at 7:50. Taylor hits the stage at like 8:30. So I get off the bus, I go right to Allegiant Stadium, I go in, get straight through the line. It was very easy. Went right to a merch inside of the arena, bought my t-shirt, the one that you have on, I have the exact same one, and then went to the show, and I missed all the opening acts. As soon as I got my shirt, got my water, whatever, that midnight's tick, 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 tick was going down. So I was like, oh wow, got to my seat. Next thing you know, we were singing Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince.
Yo, so that was my experience too. We waited for literally, I just counted it because I took a picture when we got in the line and a picture when we got out of the line. It was 15 minutes at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And they had several lines. People just were bypassing it because they thought, oh, it's going to be a long time. Bro, it was moving so quick, and there was plenty of merch left when we got there. Plenty of
Right. And I think that Glendale was like, that was the opening, so I think that was crazy, but it wasn't like that at all. And I was able to pick whatever shirt I wanted, whatever crew I wanted. You know, it was great. It was fine.
Okay. So what was when you got in there, you're sitting down, obviously people are drawn to you because you're a great personality, and you're different, right, in that space. I'm saying you had a good time. I saw that on TikTok. What's your favorite moment from the show?
One of my favorite Taylor Swift songs is Enchanted. I think that is just number one. Like, I think that's better than All Too Well. That is just, that Enchanted, that moves my soul. You know what I'm saying? So it was really great.
I agree. I love Enchanted.
Yes, and you see, that was the only song she sang from Speak Now, so that really moved me. But I also I really like Cruel Summer, so her singing that live was fun. So I liked Cruel Summer and Enchanted individually, but as an era, I enjoyed 1989 because that's Bad Blood, Shake It Off, Wildest Dreams, and the transitions between those was hitting. So like, songs, Enchanted, Cruel Summer. Era, 1989 for sure.
That's so interesting. So, do you remember which acoustic song she did for your show?
She did Our Song, which I didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
And then she did Snow on the Beach, which of course I know because it's on Midnights. And yeah.
Our Song is good. So this is, I guess, to answer my own question, my favorite moment of the tour was the acoustic set. She did Clean on the piano, but before that, she got her guitar out and she did Death by 1,000 Cuts. And that is my favorite Taylor Swift song.
Oh, like, wow.
I have a hierarchy and so I have beef with you actually because you mentioned that you have skips on Lover. I want to know what the skips are because Lover to me is a perfect album.
Yeah, so like I just know that like I don't like me. I think Cruel Summer would have been the stronger single on that. I just
Okay, that
that's
makes
not
sense.
that strong of a song. That seems very poppy, like you're better than that. So that, and then I just remember I did a listening session of Lover on TikTok Live, and like some of the songs I gravitated to, and some of them I remember just not really feeling. But I will say, I love the song Lover. I love Cruel Summer. I love The Man. I love Cornelia Street. Like I like those songs. But I remember like listening to some of those. I was like, oh, the Soon You'll Get Better. So good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like The Archer?
The Archer was okay, and then I remember like kind of thinking, oh, that's okay. Uh,
Yo, so okay, but you're not alone, because there are a lot of people on the internet who hate The Archer. Like on TikTok, it's a common thing now to see in the comments, like, man, she should not play this live. Like, I hate it. And I went on Reddit to see like what people outside of TikTok actually think about it. And same thing, they were like, oh, it's slow. There's no build, full of cliches. It's like bad production. Like you can tell like they tried, but it's not. And you'll get this as you get deeper into Taylor, but the track 5 song is supposed to be her like most lyrical, like emotional song on every album. It's like All Too Well, Delicate, You're on Your Own, Kid, White Horse. Those are all track 5 songs. And The Archer,
yeah.
I think, is like the best one besides All Too Well. I think The Archer is great.
Yeah, because
But once
even
again,
like I love
Lover.
All Too Well. Yeah, like I just think different people gravitates towards different songs. So I can appreciate the All Too Well short film and think that that is strong. But that's not a song I've ever like, oh, I'm about to listen to All Too Well, because it doesn't move me. I would say that Enchanted for me is the stronger song. And I think that there's other really big, like Willow. I think that was a #1 song, and that's off of Evermore. And that doesn't move me. Champagne Problems, that's a really popular song that people love. Doesn't move me. I like The One. So, everybody has their taste.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You mentioned Evermore, made me think about this. I wanted to mention my favorite part of the tour, besides like Death by a Thousand Cuts, which was a surprise, obviously, was her being in that A-frame cabin covered in moss and going to the roof. Because the cabin had that ladder and she's on top of it singing, and then it comes down to the ground. I'm like, that's so freaking cool and creative. And just, I thought it was like outside the box. Because we've seen people get up in the air, right? Like Pink does it. Carrie Underwood flies through the air. Kanye had the tilted stage and all that. But to have this structure on the stage where you're in it, on top of it, on the ground, beneath it, just was like so cool. And I didn't like Evermore, so it just made it all kind of like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yes, from a stage production standpoint, that was the most interesting part of the show for me, just sitting there watching the trees come out of the ground, the house, people say, like, what is your best concert? Because I've seen Beyonce 7 times. And so people ask me, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
7?
It's the Eras Tour. That's another conversation. But my point is, I enjoyed the Eras Tour of all the concerts I've been to, because the level of production and technology where we are in 2023 makes it the best concert I've ever seen. So I'm sure when I go to the Renaissance concert, as Taylor Swift is a songwriter, Beyonce is a performer. So I anticipate that the Renaissance World Tour will be better than the Eras Tour, because that's Beyonce's thing, where Taylor, her thing is really sitting down by herself and she gonna write the hell out of a song, where Beyonce, songwriting, it's okay. But when Beyonce gets on that stage and she's doing Single Ladies and she's doing I Care and she's doing Mi Gente, and that, you about to get a show. So I know that the Renaissance World Tour will be better for me, but the Eras Tour is the best concert I've been to today, because in 2023, the level of stage production and technology blew me away.
Man, I could not agree more. We got to do this again later this summer, because I'm going to see Renaissance, I think in July. So we'll have to get back up and see if we can do this again. But Chris, thank you for your time. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this, and I look forward to us talking again. We have to talk about Renaissance next.
Gotta do it. All right. Appreciate you.